Pei Hung went to Jiangnan. He fell for a girl there. He spent 3 years searching for her in vain, insisting he would marry no one else. Then with a single letter, he called off our engagement. I had waited for him for nearly 3 years, wasting my youth and watching my reputation crumble. Out of pity, his mother took me in as her foster daughter and quickly arranged another marriage for me. On my wedding day, Pei Hung finally returned home after 3 years away. Through my red bridal veil, I heard him whisper a warning.
Now that you're married, focus on serving your husband. Don't go harboring any lingering feelings for me.
I remained silent. Not long after, at a family dinner, he finally saw my face. The always composed young master of the Pei family was so shaken that his grip shattered the teacup in his hand. Earlier, Lady Pei had called me over.
When we arranged this marriage for you two, Pei Hung was only 2 years old. Even though you haven't met all these years, he always knew. He had a fiancé waiting in Shenan. He was perfectly willing to marry you. But then, 3 years ago in Jiangnan, he suddenly lost his mind. Sigh. He claimed some girl saved his life, and he became obsessed with finding her. Now he has actually written to say he won't marry anyone but her.
Hearing this, I asked instinctively. He has been searching for 3 years. What if she is already married? She frowned.
That is why he is a fool. He said even if she is married, he'd still find a way to make her his wife.
Realizing she had said too much, she quickly stopped, squeezing my hand warmly.
Nanju. Even though Lord Shi is—
Madam, the young master is back. Before she could finish, a sudden commotion erupted outside. It is the young master. The young master is really back.
Pei Hung is back.
Lady Pei stood up immediately, hurrying toward the door, then turned back to me.
Nanju, come with me to welcome your brother.
I stood up and shook my head. Mother, I still have so much to prepare. I'll pass. Lady Pei hesitated for a moment, then nodded.
All right, you should go rest.
As I walked back along the corridor, I saw a crowd gathered in the courtyard in the distance. In the center stood a young man with his hands behind his back. He wore a white robe and stood tall and straight. He must be my former fiancé, the young master of the Pei family. Pei Hung. I couldn't make out his face, but he carried an air of cold aloofness. What kind of girl could make such a proper noble young master? Spent 3 grueling years searching the world. Suddenly, I froze.
Oh my. What a gorgeous girl. She actually looks quite a bit like our Miss Shen, doesn't she?
The second aunt's sharp voice cut through the air, drawing my attention to a girl in a yellow dress standing beside him. Though they stood a few paces apart, there was an undeniable intimacy between them. Pei Hung looked puzzled.
Miss Shen.
The one from Shenan. She is getting married tomorrow.
Lady Pei explained softly. Pei Hung looked surprised.
Married?
He paused for a moment, then added indifferently.
Well, that is for the best. Thank you for arranging this, mother.
I went back to my own courtyard. Not long after, I heard an argument outside the gate.
Pei Hung, I won't let you go in there.
Lolo, stop it. Mother has taken her in, so she is my sister now. I'm just going to say a few words to her before she leaves.
Sister, please. I only know the two of you used to be engaged. You might not have feelings for her anymore, but what about her? She is just a penniless orphan. She clawed her way into the Pei family, and now that she sees how handsome you are, she won't want to let you go. What if she tries to seduce you on purpose?
Pei Hung sighed.
Lolo, I've told you before. Except for that one girl, no other woman will ever have my heart. No matter what she tries, it won't work on me.
The girl's voice cracked with tears, sounding deeply hurt.
Pei Hung, you promised me. Until you find her, I'm the only one who gets to be by your side.
After a brief silence, Pei Hung finally gave in.
Fine, have it your way.
The girl immediately cheered up.
You're the best, Pei Hung.
Standing behind the door, I squeezed my fingers until my knuckles turned white. The next day, I walked out of my room. Pei Hung was standing under the veranda. Through the sheer red bridal veil, I felt his gaze land on me.
I'll carry you on my back.
He turned around and bent down. I stood perfectly still.
Now. You are a daughter of the Pei family. We are brother and sister. You don't want to.
I shook my head. It wouldn't be appropriate given our new relationship. Thank you, brother, but there is no need. Pei Hung straightened up, looking slightly annoyed.
I'm carrying you out, so your in-laws will show you more respect.
Before I could reply, a servant rushed over and whispered in his ear.
Young master, Miss Lu has a headache and is throwing a fit to see you.
Pei Hung said coldly.
Tell her to stop making a scene. I'll be right back.
But young master, we can't calm her down.
I cut them off. Go on, brother. Pei Hung looked highly displeased. Through the red veil, he took one last look at me and muttered a low warning.
Once you're married, take good care of your husband, and don't harbor any lingering feelings for me. We are siblings now, after all. If you ever run into trouble, you can always come to me.
I said nothing. He turned on his heel and walked away. As the firecrackers began to wail, I continued walking forward. After enduring the long, tedious ceremony, I was finally brought into the bridal chamber. The red veil was slowly lifted. I looked up and locked eyes with a pair of warm, smiling eyes. Shenan stared at my face, hardly moving for a long moment. After a pause, he spoke softly.
Are you tired?
Feeling a bit flustered, I nodded slightly. He let out a gentle chuckle.
Then make sure you get some good rest tomorrow.
I was taken aback. Even though I was a nobody in the Pei household, I was still forced to wake up early every single day. Shenan continued.
And from now on you can sleep in as much as you want.
My eyes widened in surprise. He seemed to find my reaction amusing. With a warm smile, he said.
In this house, you make the rules.
It wasn't that I wanted to refuse. I was just too intimidated to say anything else. So, I quickly nodded in agreement. Shenan smiled. He really had a beautiful smile. To be honest, I didn't know much about him. Our marriage had come about very suddenly. Technically speaking, Pei Hung and I had been betrothed since childhood. childhood. Years ago, when the PA family caravan passed through Linan, Madame Pei fell gravely ill. My mother stayed by her bedside day and night to treat her, exhausting herself so much that she went into labor early. And that was how I was born. Madame Pei was incredibly grateful. She left behind a jade pendant, pointed at 2-year-old Pei Hung, and said,
I can never fully repay you for saving my life. Please do not refuse this. Today I am making a promise to arrange a marriage between our 2 children. From this day on, she is as good as my own daughter.
My mother was a kind soul who never expected anything in return. Besides, the Pei family was of noble status, far beyond our social standing. But when I was 14, she fell terminally ill. Worried about leaving me all alone, she had no choice but to bring up the betrothal on her deathbed. After she passed away, I managed to support myself using the medical skills she taught me. But a local thug took an interest in me and harassed me constantly. I nearly lost my virtue. Left with no other choice, I traveled to the capital to seek shelter with the PA family. Pei Hung was being groomed as the next head of the family. When I first arrived in the capital, he was away, traveling through the southern provinces. Everyone described him as aloof and incredibly proper, noting that he didn't even keep any maidservants by his side. Hearing this made me feel relieved. I was actually really happy about that, and I grew to look forward to meeting my unseen fiancé. But as the household gossip began to spread, I finally learned the truth. Pei Hung wasn't traveling for leisure. He was looking for a girl. He went to find a girl who had happened to save his life once. He was completely obsessed with her, losing sleep over her night after night. He spent 3 long years searching for her. Madame Pei sent him countless letters, urging him to return and fulfill his marriage vow to me. Until finally, a month ago, he sent a reply. He made it clear that he would marry no one but that girl, insisting on calling off our engagement with no other option. Madame Pei took me in as her adoptive daughter. She wanted to find me a husband from a family of equal standing to the PS, but any family of that caliber knew exactly who I was and where I came from. Besides, in the capital, it was hard for a woman over 18 to find a husband, and having waited 3 years for Pei Hung, I was already 19. Just as I was about to give up hope, Lord Shenan came to the house. Madame Pei stood frozen in shock, unable to believe what she was hearing.
Lord Shi, are you saying?
Madam Pei, I am here to ask for Nianju's hand in marriage.
Madame Pei turned to look at me, hiding behind the curtain. I bit my lip and spoke up. Mother, I'd like to speak with Lord Shi in private. In the end, Lady Pei didn't stop us. Lord Shi, I'm originally from Linan. My parents have both passed away, and I've been staying with the PA family as a guest. On top of that, the eldest young master of the PA family has called off our engagement. Shenan simply gave a soft hum of acknowledgement.
Miss Shen, I am from the capital. My parents are also deceased, and I am nearly 30 and still unmarried. You and I are actually quite a good match.
I took a deep breath. Lord Shi, why did you choose me? Even if I knew nothing of court politics, I had still heard of Shenan. With his status, every high-ranking official in the capital would eagerly marry their daughters to him.
What if I said I've taken a liking to you, Miss Shen?
I froze on the spot. By the time I realized what he had said, my ears were burning with embarrassment, but deep down, I didn't quite believe him. Our paths had never crossed before. Besides, with his status, he must have seen countless beautiful women. It wasn't possible that he had fallen for me at first sight. Shenan let out a soft chuckle.
I am in need of a wife. And you are in need of a husband's family. Why don't we both get what we need?
He paused for a moment, looking slightly self-conscious.
Surely you don't mind that I'm a bit older, Miss Shen.
How could I possibly mind? No, not at all. I don't mind whatsoever. Shenan let out a sigh of relief.
Since you don't mind, Miss Shen, then it is settled. My household is very simple. Once we are married, you will be the one in charge of the estate.
My heart stirred with hope, and I gave a nod. Shenan had originally wanted a grand wedding, but I didn't agree, so he deferred to my wishes. Therefore, even Pei Hung, who had just rushed back to the capital, likely had no idea that the man I married was Shenan. Snapping back to reality, I was just about to say I would sleep on the smaller daybed when I heard Shenan speak.
My wife, let's go to sleep.
I froze.
Could it be that you do not wish to fulfill your duties as my wife?
My face flushed red. No, it is not that. Since we were married, no matter how he treated me, I had prepared myself for it. The candles were blown out, and he gently pulled me into his arms, whispering softly to soothe me.
Don't be afraid. I will treat you well.
From that night on, we became husband and wife in every sense. In the days that followed, he always protected me fiercely, deeply afraid that I might suffer even the slightest grievance. The next day, Lady Pei sent a messenger, inviting me back for the traditional post-wedding visit. She had been thoughtful enough to ask, so I couldn't very well decline. I hadn't seen Shenan all morning. My maid Xiaokui told me the master was summoned by His Majesty.
He spends most of his time at the palace anyway. I heard that even when the emperor has a nightmare, he insists on having the master by his side.
I found it baffling. What kind of ruler wouldn't even let his minister have time off for his own wedding? But speaking ill of the emperor was a grave offense, so I kept my thoughts to myself. Instead, I cautioned Xiaokui, mind your words. Fortunately, that evening, Shenan managed to return before the palace gates were locked. I told him about the invitation. He fell silent for a moment, then said,
I will arrange everything. I should accompany you back.
If you're too busy, you don't have to go. I didn't want to trouble him. Shenan let out a soft sigh.
Nianju, I am your husband.
The day before the visit, Shenan sent word ahead. The emperor was detaining him for urgent state business, so he would head straight to the PA residence the following day. I didn't blame him at all. If anything, I felt a sense of relief. If he arrived with me, the PA family would likely make a massive spectacle of it, which would have been incredibly exhausting. The next morning, seeing the carriage packed to the brim with exquisite gifts, I was completely stunned. I couldn't help but think Shenan truly thought of every detail. When I arrived at the PA estate, Lady Pei was already waiting by the entrance screen. She glanced behind me, looking for someone. I explained in a low voice. Lord Shi was called away on urgent official business. She took my hand and led me inside, her voice gentle and warm.
Why are you still calling him Lord Shi? Nianju, there shouldn't be such distance between a husband and wife.
A warmth bloomed in my chest. Thank you, godmother. Once we were inside, as I was chatting with Lady Pei, a deep male voice echoed from outside.
Is mother in?
It was Pei Hung. Before the maid could answer, a servant's voice hurriedly announced.
Young master, Lord Shi has arrived.
Lord Shi. The Grand Secretary from the Cabinet, Lord Shenan?
Yes, sir. That is indeed him.
Pei Hung was visibly surprised, yet thoroughly delighted.
What brings him here? Quickly, lead the way so I can welcome him.
As the footsteps faded into the distance, I couldn't help but feel a wave of confusion. Pei Hung actually had no idea that the man I married was Shenan, but then again, it made sense. For some inexplicable reason, I dreaded facing him. Seeing a few plates of pastries on the table, I quietly picked up a piece of tukahoke and took a small bite. Lady Pei held my hand as we walked out of the courtyard.
Oh dear, you were perfectly fine. How did you suddenly break out in a rash?
Godmother, please don't worry. I must have eaten something I shouldn't have. I'll just brew some herbal medicine when I get home. A sudden gust of wind swept by, and I quickly adjusted my veiled hat. When I looked up again, I saw Pei Hung leading Shenan toward us. Shenan's gaze locked onto me. His eyes darkened instantly, and his voice grew tight with concern.
Are you hurt?
I shook my head. No. I think I just let my sweet tooth get the better of me, and ate something bad. I'll be fine once I have some medicine at home. His expression remained tense and uneasy.
I see.
Lady Pei said with a warm smile.
Lord Shi, I love Nanju like my own daughter. If you speak to her with such severity, I might have to take offense.
Shenan offered a respectful bow.
Please forgive me, Lady Pei. I spoke out of sheer worry.
Haha. It seems I have Nanju to thank for receiving such a polite gesture from the Grand Secretary himself.
Shenan offered a gentle, polite smile.
You are my elder, after all.
Pei Hung stared at me for a long moment, murmuring almost unconsciously.
Though I cannot see her face, my new sister-in-law looks incredibly familiar.
Shenan pulled me closer to his side. He offered a faint smile.
Any plans to settle down anytime soon, young Master Pei? Some of my colleagues have eligible daughters.
Pei Hung froze. He looked completely caught off guard. His expression turned incredibly awkward. After all, everyone in the capital knew he was desperately searching for his lost love.
You're teasing me, Lord Shi.
His gaze swept over me once more.
You and your wife seem to share a very deep bond. I'm sorry I missed the wedding. Allow me to wish you both a lifetime of happiness together. I'll have a wedding gift sent to your estate in the coming days.
How on earth did he get the impression that Shenan and I shared a deep bond? Instinctively, I turned to look at Shenan. To my surprise, he actually nodded. He even smiled. Even after we got into the carriage, my face was still burning hot, but Shenan had no intention of letting me off the hook.
Take it off.
For some reason, he seemed upset. I slowly took off my veiled hat, keeping my eyes downcast. I'm sorry.
Look at me.
My lord, I'm really fine. It is nothing serious. I'll just brew some medicine when we get home. He gently tilted my chin up.
Shen Nanju.
Shenan let out a soft sigh.
Why are you apologizing?
I remained silent. Madame Pei had always been kind to me, but spending 3 years living under someone else's roof had conditioned me to apologize first whenever anything went wrong.
Does it hurt?
He quietly studied my face. No, it doesn't. It is just an allergic reaction to the tukahoke. I knew exactly what caused it. Shenan, let go.
Shen Nanju, not just in the Shi household but in the entire capital. You never have to swallow your pride or suffer in silence. If you want to see someone, see them. If you don't, turn them away. If you want to talk to someone, talk to them. And if you don't, ignore them. Your body doesn't just belong to you. I won't ever let you harm yourself.
I stared at him completely dazed. After a moment, Shenan spoke again, his voice dropping to a low murmur.
Shen Nanju, I'm going to have to punish you.
I blinked, bewildered. Before I could even process his words, he pulled me tightly into his embrace. He didn't do anything inappropriate. He just held me close and mumbled against my hair.
If you ever hide things from me and neglect your health again, I am going to be very angry.
It turned out his idea of punishment was simply his way of making sure I never suffered again. Beneath his gruff, exasperated tone was nothing but pure, undeniable tenderness. When I woke up the next morning, Shenan was still lying right beside me. My eyes slowly widened in sheer disbelief. My lord? Shenan pulled me back into his arms, his voice still thick with sleep.
I requested 3 days of wedding leave from His Majesty.
Just as I began to settle comfortably against him, his eyes suddenly snapped open.
What did you just call me?
My husband.
Good. That is my girl. Now sleep a little longer with me.
I didn't dare to move. He had promised 3 full days of wedding leave, but by the very next day, an urgent summons arrived from the palace. Word was that the emperor had fallen ill. Shenan's expression darkened instantly.
He never makes things easy, does he?
After a brief pause, he grabbed my hand and said,
Your husband has to run an errand. Send word to me if anything comes up.
I nodded with a smile on my face, but deep down, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Over the past 2 days, Shenan had been by my side constantly, catering to my every whim. This level of gentle devotion was something I just couldn't get used to. Not long after Shenan left, word came from the Pei residence. Madame Pei's chronic cough had flared up again. It was an old ailment of hers, one that even my own mother had been unable to cure. During my years with the Pei family, whenever Madame Pei had an episode, I would administer acupuncture to help ease her pain. I packed up my things and boarded the carriage sent by the Pei family. It didn't take long for Madame Pei to start feeling much better. She held my hand and sighed.
Nanju, what am I going to do without you? Pei Hung is such a fool.
Seeing that I remained silent, she asked,
Is Lord Shi treating you well?
I nodded.
He is older than you, so he will surely know how to cherish you. But he wields immense power after all. Make sure you never cross him. Always treat him with the utmost courtesy.
I paused, slightly taken aback. Treat him with courtesy. Shenan didn't seem to care for that at all. But what did he actually want? I didn't know, and I didn't dare to ask.
My birthday is in a few days. I've only invited a few close friends here in the capital. Nanju, you must come too. Come keep your godmother company.
I nodded. All right. After chatting a bit longer, Madame Pei began to grow tired. Knowing my way around the Pei estate well, I dismissed the servant and made my own way out. Just as I stepped out of the courtyard, someone suddenly shouted,
Who are you?
I looked up and saw a beautiful face. It was Lululolo, the woman Pei Hung had brought back. She stared intently at my face.
Who are you? What are you doing in the Pei household?
How incredibly rude. I felt a surge of irritation, but then I remembered Shenan's words. If you don't want to talk to someone, don't. I couldn't help but smile slightly. I turned to leave, but Lulualo rushed forward and shoved me hard.
You ungrateful wretch. How dare you ignore me?
Caught off guard, I couldn't dodge in time and fell to the ground. Immediately after, a deep male voice rang out.
Fighting in public, have you no shame?
I looked up and met a pair of cold, dark eyes. Pei Hung froze instantly. Lulualo grabbed his arm.
Brother Pei Hung, my head hurts.
My head hurts. Please take me back inside. Pei Hung snapped out of his daze. He extended a trembling, slender hand toward me. It was shaking slightly.
Miss, are you alright?
Lulualo held onto him tightly.
I'm not okay. I'm really not okay.
I ignored him, pushing myself up off the ground on my own. I was never one to let myself be bullied. She was the one who pushed me first. Unable to contain my anger, I raised my hand and slapped Lulualo hard across her delicate face. The blow sent her face whipping to the side. I didn't have the patience to deal with her, so I turned and walked away. Once Lulualo recovered from the shock, she let out a sharp shriek and grabbed Pei Hung's arm in a tight grip.
She slapped me. How dare she slap me? Don't you dare go after her. Don't you dare.
Pei Hung was losing his temper.
Shut up. Let go of me first. Guards, take Miss Lu back inside. Without my permission, she is not to take a single step out of her courtyard.
But Lululo held onto him, refusing to let go. I had no interest in staying for their drama, so I just walked straight out. The carriage came to a halt, and the moment I stepped through the gates of the Shi estate, Xiaokui rushed over to meet me in a panic.
Madam, a very distinguished guest has arrived. I've already sent someone to fetch the master, but the guest specifically asked to see you.
I nodded. Don't worry. The moment I stepped into the main hall, a high-pitched shrill voice rang out from above.
Insolent. How dare you not kneel in the presence of the emperor?
I immediately knelt to pay my respects.
Raise your head. Let us look at you.
The second voice sounded commanding, yet distinctly youthful. I raised my head, keeping my eyes respectfully cast down toward the floor.
Sister Shen, what are you doing here?
The voice from above instantly filled with pure delight. I instinctively looked up and met a pair of exceptionally bright eyes. Yuan Yu.
Insolent. How dare you address the emperor by his personal name?
You useless servant, shut your mouth. Sister Shen saved my life.
I froze in shock to think the sick child I had treated and saved 3 years ago was actually the reigning emperor. Yuan Yu walked down quickly and helped me to my feet.
Sister Shen, why are you at the Chancellor's estate?
Chancellor, Shenan was actually that close to the emperor. Oh my goodness. Wait, the Chancellor's new wife.
The one he is so obsessed with that. He wouldn't even come keep me company. Could that really be you, sister? I had absolutely no idea how to answer that.
I could only press my lips together in silence. Yuan Yu immediately began to whine.
Sister Shen, back then, I asked the Chancellor to help me arrange a marriage with you, and he went ahead and married you himself. And to think I used to be jealous of you for taking up all his time. Now I have to be jealous of him instead.
My head was spinning even more now. So Shenan had already known who I was.
Sister Shen, you're so young and beautiful. How could you marry an old fossil like the Chancellor? Sister Shen, is the Chancellor super mean and strict with you too?
I instinctively shook my head. I knew Shenan had a terrifying reputation in public, with rumors describing him as cold-blooded and ruthlessly cruel. But since the day we married, he had been incredibly gentle and kind to me.
Sister Shen, does that headshake mean the Chancellor treats you poorly? If he is treating you badly, you should just divorce him.
Before he could finish his sentence, a very familiar voice drifted into the room.
Who is it your majesty wishes to divorce?
Shenan walked in with long, confident stride. He pulled me closer to his side and looked at Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu let out a forced laugh.
Oh, Lord Shi, you're back. It was so hard for me to get away and visit, but you weren't even here. I was just telling Sister Shen that we should go find you.
After saying this, he looked at me with an innocent expression, as if he hadn't just been running his mouth and stirring up trouble. Shenan smiled faintly.
Didn't your majesty deliberately send me away on an errand?
Yuan Yu avoided his gaze.
Lord Shi, you always tell me not to let my emotions show on my face, so why are you looking so tense?
Shenan replied in a flat tone.
Is that so? Your majesty comes to my home and right in front of my wife calls me a harsh, overbearing old man. Am I not even allowed to defend myself?
He actually overheard all of that. I stole a glance at the young emperor, who was awkwardly staring at the ceiling. Thank goodness I didn't say anything bad about Shenan just now. Lately, rumors had been spreading through the capital that the young master of the PA family had finally moved to the heavens and found the love of his life. But remembering his offensive behavior from the other day, I couldn't help but frown. On the day of Lady Pei's birthday banquet, Shenan insisted on coming with me. I teased him. If you go, the other ladies won't feel comfortable chatting freely. Pei Hung's father, General Pei, was stationed at the border, leaving only Lady Pei and Pei Hung at the estate. Besides, from what I saw last time, Shenan didn't seem particularly close to Pei Hung anyway.
I can wait for you in the carriage,
he said, squeezing my hand. I burst out laughing. I'm not a child. People will laugh at us if they find out. In the end, Shenan let me have my way. The banquet was set for noon, and I made sure to arrive half an hour early. Yet, when I walked in, I turned out to be the very last guest to arrive. An awkward wave of embarrassment washed over me. Lady Pei warmly pulled me down to sit beside her and whispered, most of these ladies are close friends.
Even though your wedding with Lord Shi was a quiet affair, everyone in the capital is incredibly sharp.
As guests mingled and chatted, the atmosphere quickly grew lively. One of the ladies raised her glass to offer me a toast, but Lady Pei quickly intercepted it for me.
Our Nanju shouldn't be drinking.
The lady gave my stomach a knowing, suggestive look, realizing she had completely misunderstood. My face instantly flushed bright red. I couldn't help but recall last night, in the heat of our intimacy, when Shenan's large hand gently rested on my stomach, and he whispered in a raspy voice,
Nianju, Do you think we might already have a child growing in here?
As the ladies laughed and joked among themselves, a deep voice suddenly echoed from the entrance.
Ladies, what is so amusing? That has everyone in such high spirits. I hope I'm not interrupting.
Pei Hung walked in with a broad smile on his face. He looked toward Lady Pei.
Mother, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
As he spoke, his gaze caught me in his peripheral vision. In an instant, his grip slipped and the wooden box in his hand crashed to the floor. The entire room fell dead silent.
Pei Hung?
Lady Pei shot a puzzled glance at me, then turned her gaze back to her son. Pei Hung quickly composed himself, averting his eyes. Looking down at the shattered jade hairpin on the floor, he forced a smile.
My apologies. I had found a rare jade hairpin for you, mother, but my hand slipped. It is quite alright. It is the thought that counts. That is right. Out with the old, in with the new. It is a good omen.
It seems young Master Pei is incredibly stubborn when it comes to the things he wants.
It was that same lady who had tried to toast me earlier. Pei Hung looked down, his expression conflicted.
Exactly. How many things do we truly cherish in a lifetime? When you find what you love, you have to hold on tight. This lady here looks a bit unfamiliar. May I ask whose wife she is?
He looked up again, his eyes resting calmly on me. Madame Pei's expression grew even more puzzled.
This is Lady Shi.
Pei Hung froze for a moment, then muttered softly.
Lady Shi. How did I not realize? Aren't you the fiancé who waited for me for 3 years? Mom, you really did a wonderful thing today.
I frowned. What is wrong with him? Even though our past was no secret in the capital's high society, making such a scene today was highly inappropriate.
I heard young Master PA is also about to tie the knot soon.
Another lady quickly tried to smooth things over with a laugh. Pei Hung paused, suddenly understanding her meaning, and laughed out loud.
Yes, of course. She was mine to begin with anyway.
With that, he turned and walked away. Fortunately, Pei Hung was just talking nonsense, so I didn't take it to heart. A couple of days later, Madame Pei sent a message. Her cough had flared up again. It shouldn't be acting up this frequently. I felt a little uneasy. Shenan was about to head to the palace. He looked at me and smiled.
My wife is so talented. Why don't you open your own medical clinic?
I was absolutely thrilled, and my eyes widened in surprise. Really? I can do that? He stared at me for a moment, gently brushing his fingers against my cheek.
Why not? You call the shots in this house. Who knows, if I ever upset the emperor, I might have to rely on my wife to support me.
He was teasing me again. The day after our wedding, he had handed over the keys to his personal treasury. The wealth in there was enough to support 100 of him for several lifetimes.
Nanju, I'm serious, as long as it makes you happy.
I met Shenan's earnest gaze. Aren't you worried people will laugh at you?
Laugh at what?
The wife of a high-ranking official. Running a clinic and showing her face in public, and worse, having to tend to and serve others. Shenan gently stroked my hair.
I've never cared about what others think, and you shouldn't either. Though no male patients, I'll get jealous. You can only treat women.
My ears burned. I pushed him away. You should get going. Don't keep the emperor waiting. When you get back, I have something to tell you. Shenan smoothed his robes and sat back down, grinning.
Oh, my wife is taking the initiative to talk to me. Then I'd rather stay and listen to you first.
This man is usually so dignified and serious, yet sometimes he can be so incredibly playful. I turned to leave. Official business comes first, but he grabbed my hand, pulling me into his lap.
Nanju, you are my only priority.
My face flushed even redder. I squirmed and pushed him away. How can you say that? With a straight face, I got up and hurried out of the room. Behind me, I could hear Shenan chuckling. When I arrived at the Pei residence, I headed toward Madame Pei's room, just like I always did. Suddenly, the door shut tight behind me. Pei Hung stepped out from behind the folding screen.
Shen Nanju, I've been looking for you for 3 whole years.
I frowned, completely bewildered, looking for me. Then, I froze in my tracks. Suddenly, his earlier outburst made perfect sense. The person he had been desperately searching for all this time was actually me. Pei Hung stared at me, his throat tight with emotion.
3 years ago, just outside Qiantang, you braved a torrential storm and saved my life. I've always been grateful for that, but more than that, I haven't stopped thinking about you since.
I knitted my brows. I'm a healer. It is my job to save lives. Besides, I was just passing by that day. It was no big deal. You really don't need to make such a fuss about it. Pei Hung suddenly closed the distance between us, grabbing my wrist in a tight grip, his expression dark and intense.
But my feelings for you are completely real.
I pried his fingers off with force and took a step back, putting some distance between us. Young Master Pei. I am already married. Madame Pei is my godmother, which makes you my godbrother. He cut me off, his voice rising.
We had an arranged marriage since childhood. What do you mean, godbrother?
I was starting to lose my patience. What exactly do you want? Pei Hung drew himself up, his eyes locked onto mine.
I want to apologize to you. I'm the one who delayed our wedding, leaving you to wait for me in the capital for 3 long years. If I had known it was you, I wouldn't have kept you waiting for a single second. But thank God it is not too late. Divorce Shenan, and we can still get married.
I shook my head. I will never divorce him.
Are you afraid of him, or do you actually love him?
I hesitated for a moment. Was I afraid of Shenan? I suppose I used to be, but now, far from being afraid, I actually had a bone to pick with him. As for love, I couldn't really say. Pei Hung took another step closer.
Nanju, you don't have to be afraid. I'll take care of everything. Just get the divorce, and I will marry you.
Before I could even open my mouth, the door was kicked wide open. A chillingly familiar voice cut right through the air.
You've got a lot of nerve, young Master Pei, coveting my wife, right under my nose.
Shenan stood at the threshold, his face dark with fury. Inside my sleeve, my fingers twitched instinctively. Without saying another word, he walked straight over to my side, took my hand, and stared at the red mark on my wrist. I tried to pull my hand back, but his grip was firm and unyielding.
Does it hurt?
I shook my head. My skin has always been sensitive. Normally, if he uses even a little force, it leaves a mark. So, he is always incredibly gentle with me. Shenan pulled me tightly into his arms, then turned a cold glare toward Pei Hung.
Out of respect for your father, General Pei, I'll let this slide just this once. But if there is a next next time. Don't expect me to be so lenient.
Supporting me by the waist, Shenan turned and led me straight out. Behind us, Pei Hung roared in anger. Shen Nanju. You think a man like him actually cares about you? You're an orphan with no family. Why would someone like him ever be genuine with you? My fingertips trembled slightly, but Shenan tightened his grip on my hand, leaving no room for protest. Once we were settled in the carriage, Shenan let out a cold scoff. He is nothing but a shallow, untrustworthy scoundrel who only cares about looks. I yanked my hand out of his grasp. And what about you? Shenan froze. What do you mean? I asked him again, my voice quiet but crystal clear. You say Pei Hung only cares about my looks. Then what is it that you want from me? Shenan, how are you any different? The silence in the carriage grew heavy and suffocating. When we finally arrived home, I completely ignored Shenan and got off the carriage on my own. Xiao Kui rushed out to meet me, looking anxious. Madam, our distinguished guest is back, and he specifically asked to see you again. When Yuan Yu saw me, his face instantly lit up with joy. Sister Shen, I finally found you. But as soon as the words left his mouth, he noticed Shenan standing right behind me. Oh Lord, she is here too. Shenan replied in a flat, indifferent tone. Your Majesty. This is my wife, and this is my home. With all the state affairs on your plate, you shouldn't be wasting your time worrying about my domestic matters. No, that is not it. Lord Shi. Pei Hung came to me to complain, claiming you stole his fiancé. At first I thought it was just a personal dispute. But General P has just won a major victory at the border. I can't let him feel unappreciated or wrong. Shenan gave a cold laugh. Though my wedding was kept quiet, she is my lawfully wedded wife. Everything was done properly, and completely by the book. Yuan Yu sighed, looking rather helpless. Oh Lord Shi. I may be young, but even I know that in a love triangle someone always ends up getting hurt. How about this? Why don't I have Sister Shen stay at the palace for a while? All right. Absolutely not. Shenan and I spoke at the exact same time. He turned his head to look at me. A man who was usually so calm and collected actually had a trace of hurt and disbelief on his face. But what did he have to feel hurt about? But what does he have to feel hurt about? I must have misread his expression. Avoiding his gaze, I bowed to Yuan Yu and repeated myself. Your Majesty, I am willing to go to the palace with you. On my third day in the palace, word arrived that Shenan had been ambushed by assassins and was critically injured. Yuan Yu was absolutely furious. Barely 4 hours later, Pei Hung was thrown into prison. When Lady Pei saw me, she nearly fainted on the spot. Nanju, you have to save him. Please save him. Xiao Kui managed to get a message to me. She said Shenan was still unconscious. A sudden wave of irritation washed over me. Godmother, I don't have any say in this. You should be begging Lord Shi, since he was willing to marry you. He must have feelings for you. Or you could go beg the emperor. He was the one who personally brought you to the palace. Godmother, he tried to assassinate a high-ranking court official. That is not something a woman like me can interfere with. Lady Pei violently flung my hand away. Shen Nanju, you keep making excuses. The truth is, you just don't want to help my son. To think I raised you for 3 years for nothing. My poor son spent 3 agonizing years searching for you. And you're being this cold and heartless. You're the one who drove him mad enough to do something so foolish. I slowly clenched my fists. So, last time, you lured me there on purpose. She let out a cold sneer. Pei Hung is my only son. No matter how much I despise you, I had to help him. But you just don't know what is good for you. How is my son any less of a man than Shenan? This is all your fault, Shen Nanju. You should go to hell right along with Shenan. The maids were dragging her back by force, but she kept screaming hysterically. I only gave her a cold, detached look. Lady Pei, don't you forget. You still owe my biological mother your life. From this moment on, we are completely even. I asked Yuan Yu to have someone send me back to the Shi estate. He looked incredibly hurt. Sister Shen. In the end, you still chose him. I let out a soft sigh. Your Majesty, could you please act normal for once? A flash of embarrassment crossed Yuan Yu's face at being called out, and the tips of his ears turned slightly red. He cleared his throat twice to cover it up. Fine, whatever. Lord Shi is getting up there in years anyway. He is a bit of a tragic case. I rushed back to the Shi estate that very night. Shenan still hadn't regained consciousness. He was covered under a thick pile of blankets. I sat down at the edge of the bed and gently took his hand. His hands, which had always been so warm, were now frighteningly ice cold. A sharp pang hit my chest, and tears began to well up in my eyes. See, Shenan? You still haven't answered my question. I won't let you just sleep like this. 3 years ago, when I was treating Yuan Yu, he had a masked bodyguard by his side. He never said a word, but his eyes never left me for a second. Before I left, he pulled out 3,000 taels of silver notes. I simply shook my head and smiled. This visit is on the house. I don't want your money. Behind that mask, he stared at me for a very long time. When Yuan Yu first ran off to the Shi estate, I began to suspect that the man from back then was actually Shenan. Later on, I became absolutely certain. The moment my engagement was broken, he rushed over to propose. He said Pei Hung was only driven by lust. But what about him? Looking at Shenan's pale, bloodless face, my throat tightened and my voice cracked with emotion. Shenan, if you don't tell me, I'll... Suddenly, his hand moved, squeezing mine back. A low, faint sigh brushed past my ear. Shen Nanju. You finally called me by the right name this time. I froze for a moment, only then realizing what was happening. I tried to pull my hand back, but he held onto it tightly. My lord, you're awake. Shenan let out a soft sigh. Part of me wishes I hadn't woken up. In my dream, my wife was calling my name so gently, caring for me. My wife is beautiful, talented, strong, and kind. When it comes to her, I simply can't control my feelings. He gently squeezed my palm. Nanju, I don't like you being so distant with me. After a brief silence, I spoke up again. Shenan, you still haven't answered my question. A slow smile tugged at the corner of Shenan's lips, his voice soft and raspy. I'm not that noble either. I fell for my wife's beauty at first sight and took the chance to marry you. My wife is beautiful, talented, strong, and kind. When it comes to her, I simply can't control my feelings. Yuan Yu shamelessly ate the porridge I had made for Shenan. Sister Shen, your cooking is amazing. If I could have porridge this delicious every day, I'd definitely become a great emperor. Shenan pinched the bridge of his nose in exasperation. Your Majesty, if you visited the Shi household less and focused more on state affairs, you would easily become a great emperor. Yuan Yu let out a cheeky grin. Maybe I should just take Sister Shen with me then. Shenan scoffed. So your Majesty still hasn't given up on that idea. Yuan Yu slammed his bowl down with a clatter. Why should I give up? I met Sister Shen when I was 7. You didn't even meet her until you were 27. If we're talking about seniority, I was definitely first. Besides, Lord Shi, you have a rival who is always causing trouble. I don't have any of that baggage. How am I not the better match? You just swooped in and took her. That is completely unfair. Shenan snorted. No wonder your Majesty has been slacking on your essays lately. It seems all your energy has been going into reading romance novels. In that case, I will assign you more writing. Yuan Yu immediately clutched his chest, putting on a performance of utter heartbreak. Oh, don't be like that, Lord Shi. Come on. I'm only 10 years old. How can you honestly be jealous of a kid like me? I work hard studying every single night, and this is my only hobby. How can you take it away from me? Sister Shen, how do you put up with such an unreasonable husband? Listening to them, my jaw practically hit the floor. I was completely speechless. I knew he liked to play act, but I didn't realize he was such a drama king. I stole a glance at Shenan next to me, only to lock eyes with him immediately. My face flushed warm, and I quickly looked down. Ever since he woke up and confessed his feelings the other day, every time I looked at him, I felt a little self-conscious. Oh, well. I suppose I am a good kid who respects my elders. Yuan Yu sighed, looking at me with wide, hopeful eyes. Sister Shen, do you have any other sisters? Sisters, cousins, half-sisters, even a neighbor would do. I could find someone just like you. Sigh. If you really don't. You and Lord Shi should just work hard on making me a niece. Shenan's brow twitched with irritation. Stop talking nonsense. The young emperor pressed on. Lord Shi, you are a whole 10 years older than Sister Shen. And she didn't mind. I'll only be 10 years older than your future daughter. How can you have the nerve to reject me? Are you just jealous because I'm younger, more handsome, of higher status, and way funnier than you? No wonder she likes me more. Shenan finally hit his limit. He glared at the young emperor's personal attendant. Xiao Fuzi, if His Majesty reads one more of those trashy romance novels, I will hold you personally responsible. The young attendant instantly dropped to his knees, trembling. Lord Shi, we wouldn't dare even if we had 10 lives. Yuan Yu's eyes widened in absolute disbelief. Lord Shi, are you staging a mutiny? Shenan couldn't stand being in bed for another second. He stood up abruptly, grabbed my hand, and pulled me right out of the room. Behind us, the young emperor beat his chest and wailed in despair. Lord Shi, you can't just abandon me and our entire empire just for a woman. Pei Hung was banished to the remote borderlands without a direct imperial order. He was forbidden from ever returning to the capital. General Pei had already been stationed at the border for years. Lady Pei knelt outside the palace for 3 days straight, begging to join her husband at the outpost. Yuan Yu finally granted her request. Before they left, she sent several requests to see me one last time. I refused every single one. In the end, she had a letter delivered to me without even opening it. I handed it to Xiaokui and told her to burn it to ashes. Who was right and who was wrong no longer mattered. Once Shenan had fully recovered, he took another 3 days off, saying he wanted to stay home and make up for our missed honeymoon. During those days, we didn't step foot outside. He spent every moment reading and brewing tea with me, making up for all the time we had lost. One quiet afternoon, as I leaned against him, a question suddenly came to mind. Shenan, why did you wear a mask back then? He gently stroked my back and spoke softly. When the rebellion broke out against the late emperor, my father and brother died in battle. I had to secretly travel south to rescue the young emperor. I couldn't risk showing my face on the road, but he was still poisoned when you saved him. We kept our distance because we didn't want to drag you into it. Assassins were hot on our heels. I blinked in surprise. Oh. Then why didn't you just kill me to keep me quiet? He let out a low chuckle, resting his chin on the top of my head. My wife is so beautiful, smart, strong, and kind. How could I ever bring myself to hurt you? Flustered and amused, I gave his arm a playful nudge. You always know exactly what to say to sweet-talk me. He smiled and pulled me even closer. I mean every single word. I could look at you forever and never get tired of it.